Alright, today we're going to be making a game in under 10 minutes. So, I have a little speed run timer here, and we're just going to get right started. So, starting the timer. First thing, we will import a whole bunch of images. Wouldn't be much of a game without images, now would it? We're going to drag them all in here, and we want to reset the transform on all of these. But we also want to do a couple other things, like let's scale up the dinosaur a little bit, reset the transform on the ground, and move it down a little bit. And now this volcano, it's a little too small in my opinion. Let's make it freaking massive. Alright, way better. We want that to be in the background, so we change the sorting layer. And the meteor, let's make it 5 times bigger. Drag it up to where we want it to spawn for later. And dinosaur, we also want a circle collider, and we want to tag it as the player for later, for collisions. And now the camera, let's change the sky color. That's okay. Now we want to change the size of it. Let's change it to 3.4, and let's drag it up a little bit. You can see the little preview on the side. And now we're ready for the player controller. So we're going to open that up in Visual Studio, and then we're going to start in the update loop, doing some transformations to it based on the input. So first we want to check to see if the player is even pressing anything on the horizontal axis. And we're going to copy and paste or we're going to copy it for later. And on the inside of this, we're going to do some transformations. So we're going to create a new vector 3 that will save the position of the transform. And then at the end, we will do transform.position and apply the transformations we do to this position variable. So we will transform position.x by our input times time.delta time times 10. We also want to clamp this between -7 and 7 to make sure the dinosaur can't go off the left or the right side of the screen. So we're going to use mathf.clamp. Alright. Now, just to be a little fancy, we're going to apply a little bit of a transformation to the y-axis as well. So we're going to set it to the sine of time.time. That's just going to give it a little bobbing up and down. And we're going to make that 40 times faster, more frequent. And let's also change the amplitude to like 0.5. And next, we're going to get the component for the sprite renderer, and we're going to flip it only on the condition that the input is less than 0. Oops, I forgot. .flipx. Alright. Now, if everything went well, our dinosaur can move around. Look at that. It's beautiful. Okay. Now, we want to create our obstacles. So let's go to our volcano. And I'm going to call them meteors. I know that's wrong. They're not meteors. They're coming from a volcano. But I get to make the rules here. We're calling them meteors. So public game object meteor, that will be our obstacle that we will spawn. And in the start, we want to invoke repeating on a spawn function that we will make. And we want to do that after 1 second and then every 0.25 seconds. So it's going to be pretty frequent. And let's change this update, since we don't need an update. Let's change it to spawn. And now inside the spawn, we're going to instantiate our meteor object. And our meteors, we don't really have anything yet. Let's give them a circle collider, and then let's give them a rigid body. So this will give them a little bit of physics. and we're going to drag it in here to make it a prefab, and then we're going to delete it in our scene. Now we can drag this into our meteor spawner, and look at that. They collide, not with the ground, but they collide with the player. And let's move up the camera a tiny bit more. That's better. Okay, so meteors. They don't really do much now. So let's make a new script for them. Okay. We want to get the rigid body component because we want to add some physics to it. Well, it already has physics, but a force. We want to add a force at the beginning. So this force will be a little bit random. Let's do inside the unit circle because we're dealing with 2D, not the unit sphere. And we want to, let's add vector2 dot up. So that'll just make it so, and then give it a multiplier. So the vector2 dot up will just make it tend to shoot up. And then, you know, the random dot inside unit sphere adds a lot of randomness to that. And then we want to destroy them after 10 seconds. Now this is just to, you know, save memory. We don't want a million meteors building up. So we want them to get deleted eventually. Now, we don't need an update, so we're going to do on collision enter 2D. Now, if the collision game object has the tag of player, that's not good. That means the player hit an asteroid, or the asteroid hit the player, whatever. So in this scenario, we want to actually reset the scene. So we're going to do, using Unity Engine.scene management, and then we're going to do scene manager .load scene, and we just want to load the current scene, you know, reload it. So we're going to do scene manager .get current scene, get active scene, I mean, dot build index. So this one line here reloads the current scene. Alright. Hopefully, when we get hit by an asteroid, I keep calling them different things. A meteor or a rock, I don't know. It's a fiery rock. Okay, so it correctly resets. Now there's one last thing we need to do. Let's create a text element, and then we're gonna set that to the top left here. That's a little small, so let's scale it up, change the font size, and we're gonna add a timer script. Now this fancy little thing is just gonna count up. Let's edit that script, and the update is the only thing we're gonna have any code in. So we're gonna have, actually we need to be using Unity Engine.ui to get the text element here. So let's get component text dot text, and we're gonna set that equal to the elapsed time since the scene has been loaded. Time since level load, that's what we want. And we're going to convert that to a string with the toString, and we want to round to 2 decimal places, so we'll use F2. Alright, now with that one line, we should have a timer that counts up. Alright, you can see that in the top left here. We have a little bit of an incentive to keep playing to maybe get a higher score here. But we're really done here. So we have a game that you can play, and it only took 10 minutes. So that's pretty cool, right? Look at these meteors. Yeah. And obviously the dinosaur is from like the Google Chrome game. It's one of my favorite games. If you're a true gamer, you know what I'm talking about.